One of the toughest and most challenging aspects of my life has been focus. It's been challenging since I was a kid, as far back as my first day of school. That's all I can remember. It's probably like one of the worst students in elementary because of my distraction. Well, no, there was like one kid who would go underneath the tables and like pull people's pants down. My issue was that I couldn't focus. The teacher would be teaching and I'd be looking at the clock waiting for the bell to ring for recess. That was my favorite part of school, was going out and playing. That was my favorite part. So essentially in elementary school there's this thing called IP, or students with learning disabilities. It's not special ed, it's just someone who learns differently. And I got pulled out into that because I was behind in English, in learning like how to read words and put words together. I went into that and it actually really helped a lot. But pretty much I needed more time and more help just to stay up with the rest of the kids in my class. So interestingly enough, later on in my life, this was like a few months ago, I'm on a road trip with some of my good friends, and both of them were mentors of mine. They were like a little older than me, really smart dudes, really successful. I'm in the car with them and I'm talking about my experience not being an A student in school. You know, that hit like my confidence because you're just being ranked year after year as someone who's not smart, you know, who learns slower. And they asked me to like relive those memories as a child and say it's okay, it's all right. Don't be hard on yourself. Something was going on. And so I went back into my childhood and relived those experiences, asked myself, why couldn't you focus? Okay, recess was one of them. I loved to have fun. I loved having fun. That was my favorite thing. But my life at home, there were some issues going on. And as a kid, I wasn't able to express myself emotionally and word out my feelings. So I was thinking about my home life, like why some of my family people weren't getting along. What's going on here? I feel like some sort of weird vibe in the family. And I'm a kid and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to verbalize it or even point it out. So in class, I was trying to work out my family life. And that was the work I was doing inside, my internal work, working out my family, instead of paying attention in class. Now, when I look at it that way, holy shit, I can't be hard on this kid. I had something going on. Any kids out there who aren't doing good in school and you're younger, if something else is going on in your life and you aren't even able to verbalize it, to express that, and that is what's consuming your mind, that's what you're thinking about all the time, well then yeah, it's going to be hard to focus in class. So just go easy on yourself. Not everything's your fault. But as time went on, I had to learn methods to study on my own and to catch up with everyone else. And I'm still learning ways to do that. For the most part, what I learned is I had to ask for help, always having to ask for help. I had to get tutor, I had to study more, I had to put more effort into focusing. And at a certain point, my mom put me on medication, which my dad was very against. So there was like, I was in between my mom and dad fighting against their ideologies. I ended up not taking the medication. But all of this put me into this identity that I wasn't enough, that my brain was broken or something. So my whole life has been fighting that mindset, fighting that self-belief that I am not smart. And I'm winning that battle. But my battle is with myself, and it always has been. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be an inventor. When I learned about the current wars between Nikola Tesla and Edison, I was automatically on Tesla's side because he was the underdog. But he was also so smart because he was different. He had a think outside the box and do things in a unique, profound way. And I like that. I resonated with that. So I was always researching Tesla, who's an inventor, and I wanted to be an inventor myself. I had to invent new ways to learn. I'd invent new ways to fit into a society that I didn't necessarily fit into. But if there's any kids out there who've had a similar story to mine, I hope this helped you a little bit. You'll get through it. And I know there's people that I look up to that are my mentors who've gone through the exact same thing as me, in even worse situations. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye. All right, real quick, one more thing before I leave. So I was diagnosed with ADHD, which means that I have a deficiency in the amount of dopamine that gets released from my glands in my brain. So my theory is that because I have less dopamine, I have to be more reserved for what I use my dopamine for, because that's my happiness chemical. So pretty much my type of people, we like to do the things that interest us, that spark joy in us, and we're not going to pay attention to things that don't. We're conservative of our dopamine because we only have so little of it. So it's our reward and incentive chemical, you know? Your dopamine is what spikes, and that's what makes you pursue something. There's very few things that make my dopamine spike in this world, and things that don't, I lose interest with them immediately. So I really trust my gut instinct and what makes me truly happy. So I look at ADHD and this deficiency of dopamine as a blessing, because I have to be more conservative with my happiness than everyone around me. That means that I don't use drugs, I'm sober. I will do psychedelics sometimes because that really connects you back with Mother Nature, but for the most part, I stay on the ground with my head on my shoulders as much as I can, and I do things that truly make me happy. I focus on what really matters, and I don't compare myself to the trends or to what's popular, because that stuff has never made me happy. Going to parties, smashers, bangers, benders, all this stuff never has made me happy. Clothes, fashion, I like that stuff, but buying stuff has never made me happy. Only certain few things has made me happy. Those are things that I'll pursue and be a master at. Everyone has a vice. We all have one. Make your vice your ace of dice, right? Make your vice your ace of dice. Make it your winning feature.